So welcome everybody, lovely to see you as we join together for our worship this week. Great to be with you, and I hope your week is going to be a fun week of learning and spending time with your family and with your friends in school. Great to see you. So if you remember, we've been thinking these last 3 weeks about what it means to trust one another. We've thought about how trust can be broken. Remember, we've told stories about when people haven't done what they've said that they were going to do. They've made promises, and when they've broken them, how that means that friendships can get broken as well. And we've thought, haven't we, about how promises and trusting one another are the things that really help our friendships to grow and to last. So we never really should forget how important it is to always keep promises so that people can trust us. So I thought today we would think about some of the promises that we make, but also hear some of the promises that God makes, and let's see what the difference is between the two. Let me tell you a little story before we carry on. So once upon a time, there was a young shepherd boy who looked after the sheep at the bottom of a mountain near a dark forest. And it was rather a lonely job that he had. He was on his own all day long, which meant that he used to get bored and lonely, and sometimes he used to get up to mischief as well. So one day he came across an idea that would help him, firstly, not be so lonely, and secondly, meant that he could have a bit of fun at the same time. So one day when he was out on the mountain guarding his sheep, he ran down towards the village shouting, "Wolf! Wolf!" And all the villagers were worried that there was a wolf after the boy and after the sheep, and they came out to meet him, and they stopped with him for a while and made sure he was okay. And the boy promised that there had been a wolf and that he was telling the truth. So the boy went back to the sheep on the mountain, and the village people went back to their homes. And the boy was really pleased with himself that he'd been able to play a trick on the village people. And so the next day he thought, I'm going to try that again. He was so pleased with how well it had gone before. He ran down the hill from the mountain shouting, "Wolf! Wolf!" And once again, all the people from the village came out to make sure that he was safe. And once again, the boy promised that there had been a wolf. He was very happy with himself because he played a trick once more on the people in the village. But a few days later, can you guess what happened? Yeah, a real life wolf came. And of course, the boy was worried and scared. And so what did he do? He ran down that hill shouting, "Wolf! Wolf!" louder than he had before. But this time, what do you think happened? Nothing happened at all, because the village people had been fooled by the boy's lies twice before that, when he'd told lies and promised that there had been a wolf, when actually they found out that there hadn't been. So this time there was a real wolf. The wolf scattered all the sheep and chased them away, and the boy lost all of his sheep. And a little bit later he went down into the village and he started complaining, saying, "Why didn't you come and help me when there was a wolf after me?" And one of the men, a wise old man in the village, said, "A liar will never be believed, even when he speaks the truth." So in other words, the boy had broken his promises. He'd promised that there was a wolf twice before when there wasn't, and he was just playing a trick on them. And the time that there was a wolf, he lied, he told the truth, but nobody believed him. And so a bad thing happened. You know what? We sometimes forget how important promises are. Did you know that most of our world runs on promises? Let me give you a few examples here. So, can you see this? Can you see what that is? That's money, and that is a £20 note. £20 note. And it says on here, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £20. And what that means is the bank, whose money it is, promise that when I go to the shop and I buy something, it's going to be worth £20. It's not going to be worth £10 or £5 or 10 pence. It's always going to be worth £20 because the bank promises that. Can you see this one? I go back a bit. This is a long scarf, and some of you might have seen me wearing this. Goes over shoulders like that. And this is an ordination stole, and it reminds me that when I became a vicar, when I became a reverend, it reminds me that I made promises that I was going to always look after and help people as much as I can. And that reminds me of the promises that I made. I made another promise as well a long time ago. Anybody know what this is? I'll put it on, you might. This is a neckerchief. And when I joined the Scouts years and years and years ago, I made a promise that I would do my best. And that was a promise that I made, and I try to live by that promise still today. Here's another one. I don't know whether you can see what that is, but that's a cheque book. It's like money, but it's not money. And when I write on there who I want to give the money to, and I write on there how much it is that I want to give them, I'm promising that I'm going to give them that money. And one final one. I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, but you're going to have to trust me. So in here, you might just see that is water. And whenever in church we baptise or christen people, parents and godparents make promises that they're going to bring up their children well so that they know what it means to be a Christian and to love and follow God and Jesus. So those are some examples of some promises. Oh, one more. A ring. Can you think what sort of ring that is? This is my wedding ring. Yes, so when I got married to my wife, we both promised that we would love one another and that we'd support one another even when things got tough. And so we wear wedding rings to remind us of those promises that we make. Sadly, sometimes, we make promises that we don't keep. It's a shame, isn't it? Sometimes we make promises that we know we can't even keep in the first place because they're too difficult, or we just know we can't do it. Sometimes even the simple promises that we can keep, sometimes we don't even keep them because, well, lots of reasons why we don't keep promises. But you know what? When we do that, we sometimes let people down, and that trust that we've been talking about gets broken. A bit like a bit like a piece of paper getting torn into. It gets destroyed and it can't be used for what it's meant to be used for. And did you know that in the Bible, in our Bible, which I have got somewhere here, I've got one somewhere, but anyway, the Bible is the religious book that we use, and in there are promises. Anybody want to have a guess at how many promises there might be in the Bible? And I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds while, if you want to, you can put your hands up and give your ideas to your teacher. How many promises do you think there are in the Bible? So I hope you've had chance to give your teachers some idea of how many promises you think there might be in the Bible. Well, let me tell you, there's not 100, not 200, not 500, not even 1,000, because there are more than 5,000 promises made in the Bible, and a lot of them are promises that God makes. Promises like, I will never leave you. That's one of his promises. I'll always be with you right until the end of time. That's another promise. I'm with you and I will protect you wherever you go. That's one more promise. And come here with me if you're tired and worried, and I'll give you rest. That's another promise of God. That's just 4 promises of over 5,000 that we can find in our Bible. And we remember how really important promises are. Promises help us to maintain good friendships, helps us to keep healthy friendships. It helps all of our shops to run properly because of money and things like that. Our world would really be a difficult place to live if we didn't have and we didn't keep promises. So I thought we could pray now, and I want you to help me with these prayers. So at the end of each line, I'm going to say the words, we know, and I'd like you to say after that, your promises can be trusted. So I'll say, we know, and you'll say, your promises can be trusted. Let's pray. God of love, when we feel let down by others, we know your promises can be trusted. When we need courage to face the future, we know your promises can be trusted. When we feel lonely and sad and upset, we know your promises can be trusted. Amen. Amen. Okay, and let's just have a moment of reflection time. So we can close our eyes if we want to. And whilst we do that, I'd like us to think about a promise that we've made. Could be any promise that you've made at any time. And when we've thought of that, let's now think of a promise that we've broken at any time. Doesn't matter what promise or why. Think of a promise that we've broken. Now think of something good that we could all do today to help somebody else. Okay, thank you for joining us. So right at the end of that reflection time, I said, why don't we think about something that we could do for somebody else today? And our takeaway task, so the thing that we can do after this video, some point during the days, why don't we make that thing that we thought about doing for other people? It might just be to say hello to somebody. It might be to help with washing up when we get home, anything like that. Why don't we make that our promise to ourselves today? So make sure it's something that we can really do. We don't want to make a promise that we can't keep, but maybe we just think about that promise and then we actually do that promise for today, just because it's a good thing to do to help other people. So remember how important it is to keep promises. And let's remember that even though sometimes we let one another down, God's promises are always true, and we can always trust him and believe him. Believe that he's going to never let us down and that he's always going to love us and be with us. So until next week, hope you have a good week, and I will see you all very soon. Bye for now.